So, good afternoon, good evening na day, Steph, Anel June, and Kagawad. Kumusta Kagawad? Nagkaon na mo? May gutom ko. May
Wala
gutom
pa,
ko.
ma'am.
Nagkaon ako. Sorry kay gigutom jud ko pero as in 10 minutes ako nagkaon. So actually we're done with no wala dito na human ani. Previous topic. And then I just want to show you etong inyong assignment na sinend ko no for NatSci. Wala na din. So, ano ito? Biology at saka, wait, what? Biology and supposedly scientific methods. So, 12 out of 17 for those who have not answered yet. But we are done with this introduction to biology. Actually, sa characteristic of life na ta. I guess this one. But then mostly human naman taan ako lang siyang i-run down because these are just very simple and we will be studying this one anyway thoroughly as we go on. Okay, so apat pa lang man. Check ko lang screenshot. Okay, so yes, before we start, do you have any concern? Good evening, Kier, Lance. Do you have any concern? So maybe wala. So you can just butt in anytime, huh? So as I have said, in continuation of our discussion, is all living things characteristic, but let me just go back pala sa sa dashboard. Naka-post naman ko sa inyo sa previous meeting. So you go back to the announcement lang sa previous meeting sa ating this is our third meeting pa, no? So and also again yung hindi pa nakapag-answer na kasi tonight I will be sending you si Teresa at saka si Christy and Jamaica, no? Please. Kasi I will be sending you the whole of this, the whole midterm life process. So medyo madami-dami yan. Kaya ka ng but konti lang man ang mga question, no? Ang daghan actually ay ang inyong, let me check. Sige, akong kuan. QSA. Ba't wala siyang QSA? Dali ko. Okay, so ang QSA ninyo, just to remind you, I've sent you your final midterm love and prelim. So actually, let me just explain na ano yan siya, ang prelim is 100 items. So, it is what it is. And the midterm ninyo is 200 items. So, but I will only account for 100. No? So, the rest are just, no? Depends on you kung umanan yung answer, but the better. Para na mo extra point para ma-perfect mo. Charo, di mo ma-perfect. No? When I'm only getting 100 points. And sa final ninyo, bili kay daghan 300 lang. And most probably, I'll be getting 100 para perfect na mo. Kung kana, sobra inyong score. And if you're going to finish the exam. No? So, that's it. So, if you have any questions or clarification, just, but in any time, huh? So, just a rundown. So last time, I guess, na-mention na natin, na we are all the basic unit of life is cell, which is capable of reproducing. And we have DNA, or which is our genetic code. No? Nandoon lahat ng characteristic natin which evolved through time. And that these are, we as an individuals, able to grow and develop and obtain energy and respond to our environment, as well as maintain a balance, internal, both internal at saka external, or homeostasis. So as a group, we live together, we evolve, but we change over time. So in our last topics, dito, we're going to discuss ecosystem, this one. So we have ecology and biomes and energy flow. So we might not finish on during discussion on this, but this is automatically to be self-study na. By the way, do we still need really to meet every schedule? Kasi pwede namang I will leave you by your own, mga dagko naman mo, diba? So do you still want to meet for me to discuss? Or if you prefer, mag-leave na lang ko og video discussion? Or do you still want to meet like this? Silence means what? Yes, no. Well, anyway, ang advantage mo kung nag-online meeting tayo is you have additional points for your attendance, no? So I'll give you time to think, and I'll just continue. So all organisms are made up of cells, no? Yung cells ang basic unit of life natin. Pabalik-balik na lang manigod, no? And is the smallest, and we have cytoplasm, no? Although some of the organisms don't have, and we have cell membranes. No, not all living things have cell membranes. So the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell is that yung plants are bound by membrane. No? Good evening, Ivy. Okay, so yun ang and actually I guess isa pa is yung having a vacuole, one of the main differences, and all the rest actually we have more or less differences. Yes, 10, 15, 21. Yes, Ruel.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Say balita, Ruel.
Ilan taon, ma'am?
Nagulan sa Davao?
Sa Bantol, ma'am, sa Marilog. Nawaron sa Marilog, ma'am.
Kasi ganyan, bukid diha. No? But actually, pauwi ko, nag-ano na siya, taligsik na sa may Panabo. Okay, so more about cells. So that's why they are called eukaryotes, because they are bound membrane-bound. By the way, my secret pala para ma-remember ko ang difference between prokaryote at saka eukaryote ay pag U is, I always remember nga meron siyang nucleus or membrane, naa siya, naa siya nucleus or yung membrane na sa kanyang nucleus, that's eukaryote. But pag wala siyang membrane, that's prokaryote. So, I just remember, gina-remind lang ako akong sarili about EU. So, meaning na siya yung membrane. So, I don't know if that work with you, but just try. So, every cell, although it's the basic unit and the smallest, is highly organized, and it even have different parts inside of it, no? And these are called organelles na. Like for example, inside of it is chloroplast, which is very important, no, in collecting the light for photosynthesis. So, ang simplest cell actually are called the prokaryotes, no? Kasi wala. Because like wala ganit sila membrane bound. They don't have a nucleus or membrane bound organelles. So, example of the prokaryotes are only bacteria, and the rest are already eukaryotes. So, always remember prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So, while the opposite is the eukaryotes, you can see, no, mas organized siya, mas daghan siya organelle division. So, they have nucleus, membrane-bound organelles, and this includes the plants, animals, protists, and fungi. So, we can also be grouped as unicellular or multicellular, and it's very obvious that when you say uni, it is only made up of one cell, and multi, meaning a lot of many specialized cells. So, but then always cells will always be and will forever be small, wala tayong big cells, and only we differ with the number of cells, not on the size, no? Although, syempre, compared sa humans, no? So, ito naipakita ko na last time, as you can see, no, from atom, sa polyvirus, ano pa yan siya, sa cell, sa daga, sa fly, and humans. But then, in terms of, this is total number, 10 meters, 100 meters. So, only the whales or the mammals have the biggest number of cells. That's why they've been believed as the most smartest organism or mammals living on the body of sea. Of course, still since human beings are, what's the scientific name sa tao? Anyone? Homo, di ba naman tayo lahi-lahi, o Homo erectus mo to ang pinakagwapo, no? Na parang nag-evolve na humans from apes. So anyway, in the multicellular organisms, cells are grouped into tissues and then organized into organs and into system, and that makes us an organism. So, and one of our best asset is to reproduce, no, and pass on our genetic traits. And that is just actually, biblical and biologically, we exist, to procreate, to perpetuate, and para padaghanon ang lahi. And there are two types of reproduction among living organisms. We have sexual and asexual, of course. So, of course, for humans, we need two parents. No? It takes two to tango. So, we have egg and sperm to form a zygote, which forms our offspring. And for asexual naman, we cannot do this, no, in higher animals like humans and even livestock and poultry. But in poultry, it's different para kasi mga itlog magyapon na. Manok, maski walay male, but then dili siya ma-fertilize, no? Dili siya mahimong piso kung dili walay mangitog lang siya pero dili siya ma-fertilize if walay male or walay tandang. So again, this only happens to single-celled organisms. The prokaryotes, for example, is the bacteria. And because these are simple and asexual, exactly the same talaga siya or identical. So lahat parang photocopy siya, no? And that also happens when you do the, remember I explained to you, was it in your group? Remember, di ba? I explained to you apomixis. Kamu ba to akong explainan? No? So we're in, yeah, that was last time. So, and also, like, you do the grafting, you do the cutting. So, exactly the same lang ang motubo nga sa mother plant or between mother plant and the offspring. So, in all species also have the ability to reproduce. That's the main, which is not essential to survival of individual. However, so kung baog mo, ay nagka-hurt, no? Or mawala ng pag-asa kasi ang importante naka-survive ka. We are able to thrive in this, especially in this times of pandemic. So, and also is essential siya, no, for the continuation of, like, for example, you opt to not to have a baby of your own someday because maybe, like, like Europeans, they don't want to, like, especially German, no? Kaya pa-decrease ang ilahang population kasi they don't want to have a baby anymore. Mas gusto pa nila magkaroon ng aso or dogs, no? So, so what would happen? So, wala na eh. The time would come na wala na talagang real Germans, maybe. So, puro na mix, no? Kasi mga mix na mapunta ng mga lahi. Even Filipino, there's no real Filipino. We are mix of, could be Japanese, Chinese, Espanol, or American, since we've been colonized by Spain for 300 years and by Americans for how long? And also Japanese, no? So this is our genetic code. So we'll study this further in our genetics. And we know that DNA is the one that carries the genetic code on ng lahat ng organism. Plants or animals, bacteria, or virus. And this also codes for the proteins that makes up our cells and make up our body and everything we do in life. So we grow and develop. We have metamorphosis. For instance, a frog, no, they have a cycle from egg, tadpole, and then they become metamorph and frog. But and then yung iba naman ay itlog, no, from egg. So, alin ba talaga ang nauna? Ang itlog o ang manok? Let's ask isa ba yung mga animals pero here. Kinsa yung nauna here? Ang itlog o ang manok?
Hindi ko sure, ma'am.
Ha?
Hindi ko sure, ma'am. Paano ito? Itlog.
Ano daw?
Hindi
Hubog
ko
ka
sure,
here?
ma'am. Hindi ko sure, ma'am. Kanang basing ka na. Manok, garo, ma'am. Kaya kung,
Manong manok man?
kung wala may itlog, ma'am. Kung wala yung manok, ma'am. Wala mo mag-produce ka nila.
That makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so do you agree or disagree? Walay mo disagree. Argel? Argel, idol. Sa mga storya.
Idol. Agree ko sa gingon ni Ma'am Pinit.
Sige. So, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion and idea, and that makes sense then. But then I guess I have read somewhere na they have actually evidence, but I forgot and I didn't even kanang keep the material that I have read. And one thing for sure anyway, kung saan yung mabasa or makita anywhere, even it's published or even especially kung nasa internet, you don't believe immediately, no? No, especially kung it is just done for fun or for para ma-mislead ka, no? So anyway, naalala ko yung nabasa sa una na they have evidence daw, scientists that have evidence through carbon dating that yung egg daw yung unang nag-exist before chicken. So but then it is not so supported with a lot of evidence. So until now, it's still debatable. So, but then if we are based on rationally, no, tama itong giingon nila, 50-50 daw si Ivy. Yeah, no, ang saan pagkaitlog kung walay manok, no, but then that's the main that's more rational than having egg first. So anyway, we grow, produce cells, and the cell enlarge in some sense, but then it's still although mo grow man jud ang cell, but like no, for example, in your muscle, those are all made up of cells. So when you use your muscle, it will grow bigger than its usual, no? And through time, we develop, we mature hanggang mamatay. And we also grow because of cell division, no? And cell enlargement, both. And cell division from pre-existing cells, mo divide lang siya. So, and we will be discussing that more sa cell division part ng ating topic. And then, pag nag-mature na ang cells, that's the time they gonna enlarge and mature pa lang. And then, the cell divides, no? If until such time it will grow genetically, no, based sa size na. Like for example, no, we're wondering ano ang mga Pinoy, diba, is mas gagmay kumpara sa mga Europeans or sa mga Caucasians, no? Or we call ourselves Asian, so we're a bit little, no, compared to them. So it's because of genetic and yeah, no. And so through time, because of your genetic capacity, pag after na siya na full potential na yung cells na yung size ng cell, so that's the time na mag-divide siya into like this, no? Just like the process an adult organism arise, called is development, and repeated cell division is once nag-cell divide siya, cell divide kasi pag mag-grow muna ang cell and then pag mag-growth na siya muna, that's the time na mag-divide siya. So that's also called cell differentiation. Kadugay ba ba ni mahuman? And we also require energy for to live, no? And in fact, we are divided as autotrophs, photoautotrophs, and chemoautotrophs. So just like what Argel mentioned last time, no? If yung seaweeds will undergo, or yung actually I can show you actually yung question ni Argel that last time, no? Photosynthesis and deep sea. Charmorag kuan. So this is what it looks like. Photosynthesis. This is just photo. Mas kapon that to video. So ito yung photosynthesis underneath. Mas nice unta ang video. Na ba ana? Wait. And it's called, wait lang. Oh my God. Another video. Mga video, asa na ka? Ayan. So, kani 1 minute lang. So this is an example of Dili mo na mao eh. So I should have prepared no, but I just remember now. Anyways, katong photo no kanina, yeah, muna ang proof na naay photosynthesis. Life on Earth. So, pwede i-google na po na ninyo. Kasi actually na siya video, mura ra gud nagbula-bula ra. So going back, so autotrophs yung mga plants natin that can make their own food, no? And all, but this can be subdivided into photoautotrophs at saka chemoautotrophs. Yung photoautotrophs, yung plants na make use of sunlight, but yung mga organisms that make use chemicals such as bacteria, no, they use iron and sulfur as their energy for autotrophs. So again, yung autotrophs ay meron dalawang type. The photoautotrophs, yung plants, and the chemoautotrophs, yung mga bacteria. And we are heterotrophs. We cannot make our own food. We just eat the plants and animals around us. So if you are a vegetarian, you are herbivores, and if you eat meat, carnivores, and if you eat both, you are omnivores. So of course you know that already. And everything has reaction in our body. We have the chemical reactions, the cold metabolism, and that require energy and also sunlight. So for example, photosynthesis. No? And we also have cellular respiration. So actually, i-discuss ang nato ni Toro, and we are 10 minutes. So we also respond to stimuli, no? Like for temperature, if it's too hot, too cold, water, food supplies, that makes us survive and reproduce. So when we respond to our external environment, that is responsiveness, that's our characteristic. And we can detect changes ng light, ng heat, ng sound, chemical, or mechanical contact. And our brain are able to coordinate. And we call this balance as homeostasis, no? Or stable condition. So kanang like for yung ating stomach is acidic naman, no? Kasi that makes us also very protective against mga harmful bacteria. And our temperature, no? As I have said last time, I indicate ko 37 degrees Celsius lang ang ating for humans ang ating normal temperature. Above that, that's fever, no? And our water balance in the body, so we are made up of, is it 80% or 60% water? So living things evolve, no? And but not individuals change over time in order to survive within changing environments. So if they die, then they become extinct. And this shows based on fossil records na yung even animals, lahat ng organisms, humans, iba-iba yung mga ang bone structure, ang atong skeletal skull. No? So we really evolve. We call it evolution. No? If such thing is favorable for if our characteristic is favorable for our environment, like what is happening now, we are able to adapt, and this is driven by natural selection or survival of the fittest by Charles Darwin. No, that's why with the pandemic, no, that's one of the survival of the fittest. So mga matay na tanang mga matay, but thanks God we're here, we're alive, and we're surviving because we have better immune system. So life is organized also in several levels. We call them atoms, yung smallest particle, molecules, organelles. Then it's where in cells where life starts and then becomes tissues, organ systems, organism. So, and then going outside, we become population in our country, community in our place. Then in the whole earth, we are ecosystem and also biosphere and also, mora dito. So this is it in photo. So you just have to answer your, by the way, sorry ha kasi ang ating ano pala, ang ating ano tawag doon, assignment ninyo na mali na ako ang setting. So mag-answer sa mudaan bago makita ninyo ang lesson. And then since most of you have already answered it, so ingon ni ano Clipper staff, dili na daw siya pwede mausab, no? So kung mausab na ako, mawala yung mga answers. So anyway, as I have said, ang final na ko na i-compute nga grado kato yung final na ano. So of course, ito is the scientific method na alam nyo na, no? Since we have discussed this in our ano research methods, no? And actually, mo ba niya akong gamit ano ID na slide for the scientific method?
Yes, Dean.
So, hindi ko na siguro i-explain, no? So, but again, you should remember that in scientific method, we first observe, we should acknowledge the problem and then try to solve it using given idea, given literature. So you make up hypothesis like kaya i-solve siya nga problema. And then you do the experiment with different methods. And then you collect your data when you conduct your experiment and make a conclusion. And hindi lang nag-end dyan, no? Kasi I remember the 7 scientific method or steps in scientific method, but it doesn't end there. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 na lagi siya, no? I thought 8 or 9. So after you made your conclusion, kailangan yung ibang scientists will reconduct it. So that's why sa Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority, they require talaga two sets ng experiment, second season o kaya different environment or different place. So that's retesting. And then it will not always be a research unless you would be able to communicate it with your fellow researcher to the community na kailangan siya. So hindi ko na ito i-discuss kasi I know we've done this before. So we have 3 minutes left. Do you have any questions or clarification, especially sa mga requirement ninyo? Ivy?
Yes, Ma'am Dean.
Makaya, kanina siguro wala pa ka sa akong sa akong andito ka na kanina katong gi-explain na ako ang exam ninyo.
Murag wala din. Nag-discuss na kapag abot na ako.
Okay. So actually, I've explained to you katong mga essays ninyo, paper essay, no? In-explain ko before na itong prelim is 100 items, midterm 200 items, final is 300 items. So we agreed na dagdagan pa ay
Dungagan pa siya.
Wala na ilang dato din. Wala na ilang dato din.
ha?
Para ba ilang nato din?
305 na good.
Joke lang, so if we're not
Ma'am,
done,
good night, ma'am.
dili.
Good night.
Ma'am Dean.
In-explain ko kanina earlier na I will only get 100 points from it. So actually free na ang 200 and like for final 300, so 100 lang ako pa ang score. So it's up to you if you're going to answer more than 100 items, no? So, but if you answer everything, the better para perfect agad. So if you, because inanang mo daw akong ginabuhat just to ano no, para before ngayon kasi it's easier for you kasi you are given time na mag-answer, but then on the spot is dili man siya ay dati before sa face to face on the spot na siya within 2 hours lang. So dili jud na naman answeran tanan, just unlike you. But this is to your advantage. So as long as kanang kuan kay mo kanang you are hardworking to answer it. So in the end 100 items lang talaga yan. So the rest na score ninyo are additional score. Pero ang akong checker, no, akong auntie nagyaw-yaw na. Naghimo na bugaog ka na 300 items. Siya mo lang akong pa-check on. Less than a minute na lang. So if you have questions or clarification, you just go back to the same link. If not, then good night sa tanan. And I will see you again next week if yeah.
Mag-chat na lang mi din.
Mag-chat na lang mo. So, mag-end na tayo. Okay, so I guess that's all. Bye-bye. And if you have question and clarification, mag-chat na lang ta. Okay?
Noted
Okay,
din.
din.
Salamat
Sige,
din.
Good
Thank you,
night.
ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Salamat din.
Sige. Pangaon
Thank
na mo
you,
kay
ma'am.
Patina.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Good night.